Programming note. The broadcast you are about to see was recorded on Saturday, March 26th. There have been a number of feedback issues with the upload to YouTube. I am now rebroadcasting it through the computer, but you'll not be able to see it. So you'll see me here, but you'll hear the other broadcast.
Welcome to DGTV News Commentary, brought to you today by coal, makers of fine, effective, low-cost energy for centuries.
That's cool.
Now available in clean coal. Have you used coal lately? And by Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, I've got Pabst Blue Ribbon on my mind.
But there's only one Pabst. It's proved to be the best, naturally, with no artificial ingredients. You can taste it.
And now, here's the star of DGTV News and Commentary, Darren Gilbert, reporting today from Wasaga Beach, Ontario, Canada. Here's Darren.
Do you recognize that?
Three Stooges?
That's right. It's the theme song from the Three Stooges. Liberal leader Michael Igantieff, NDP leader Jack Layton, and Bloc Québécois leader Duceppe. As the three of them got together this week in Canadian politics and have forced a federal election, overthrowing the minority Conservative government in the House of Commons.
Shame,
Friday.
shame.
First, they weren't going to support the budget, and then they decided instead to do a no-confidence motion on the notion that somehow this Conservative government is corrupt. You see, there was a kangaroo committee chaired majority status by the Liberals, the New Democrats, and the Bloc Québécois, and the three of them got together
right.
and said, you know what, this government's corrupt. Why, do you say? Oh, because they haven't provided enough data, financial data, on the cost of constructing some new prisons. No problem, says the Conservatives. Here's some more financial data. And did they get questioned on it? No. The committee just said, no, that's not enough. You're in contempt. And it's the first government in the Commonwealth ever found in contempt. The problem is, in order to believe this government is contempt, you need to believe in the tooth fairy. This is politics by three nimrods who are abusing their power on this kangaroo committee and using that as an excuse to bring down the government. If you don't want to support the budget, that's one thing, but this is a joke. With respect to the budget, this minority government, as all minority governments need to do, compromised with the opposition party, hoping that at least one of them, if not all of them, would support the budget in order to avoid an election that Canadians don't want in this time of international economic turmoil. The Conservatives, firstly, the Liberals and the Bloc Québécois announced no way they're supporting it. Actually, the Bloc said it would give Quebec several $billions. Well, that kind of financial blackmail is outrageous. And the Liberals just said, we're not supporting Stephen Harper anymore, Michael Igantieff. So the NDP under Jack Layton said, well, we might if there's enough in it that makes us happy. So what did they put in it? They put in a number of things for the left, including increasing the low-income supplement for low-income seniors, tax credits on home care, even tax credits on art classes for kids, bringing back the energy tax credit for home renovations, energy-efficient ones, that is, and even also a tax credit for volunteer firefighters. Lots of stuff thrown in.
It's all canned.
And what did Layton do? He did what the NDP always do when there's a minority government. They ran to the Liberals. So the government falls, and we are having an election.
$300 million.
Latest poll shows the Conservatives are in first place at 43%. The Liberals 19 points behind at 24%. Jack Layton and the NDP at 16%. Meanwhile, the Bloc Québécois is riding high in Quebec. DGTV strongly endorses the Conservative Party for this election.
Yes.
Because if the Liberals get into power, you're going to be paying for it through your nose. They want national daycare. We can't afford national daycare. The day of entitlement programs are done. We can't afford the existing ones. They want nationalized home care. Daycare, home care, cradle to grave care.
Cradle to grave.
That's today's Liberal Party, and you pay for it. Oh, they want to increase corporate taxes. Didn't we just reduce them on the excuse that by bringing in the harmonized sales tax in Ontario,
8% increase in services,
pay 8% more on services, but corporate taxes goes down and make us more competitive. I remember when that scheme was first brought up, the first thing that came to my mind was, well, if the Liberals ever get into power federally, they're going to want to raise the corporate tax.
Liberals like raising taxes.
Bingo!
Creating
the Liberals love raising taxes. So the conclusion is, do not vote Liberal in this election. The exception is the riding of Simcoe Grey. I encourage people in that riding to vote for independent Conservative, Helena Georges, who was unfairly kicked out of the Conservative Party. And there's one Quebec riding where there's an independent, Arthur Andre, and he's pretty good, and I endorse him in that riding. Item, George W. Bush was right. Camp Gitmo, we're going to close it, we're going to close it, we're going to close it. No, it's going to stay open. Bush was right. We need Camp Gitmo. We've got to put enemy combatants somewhere. If you put them in the States, they're going to end up getting free on various rights issues too soon. Namely, waiting too long for a trial and having judges free them. If you just outright release them from Camp Gitmo, they're going to go back to killing Americans. So you have to keep them there.
Murder.
It's not pleasant, but it's necessary. A few nations were bribed into taking a few prisoners. Example, you remember Bermuda took, I think, 3 of them for $1 billion. But not enough countries were willing to take such bribes. So Obama's keeping it. All in the last election, Obama was campaigning that Camp Gitmo was an embarrassment, it's a shame, it's a reason for countries to hate the U.S., it's a reason for enemy soldiers to torture U.S. soldiers when they're captured as prisoners, and he went on and on about castigating George Bush. Even McCain denounced it. Well, you were both wrong. It's needed and it's staying. Camp Gitmo. Item, the horse is out of the barn. The United States is going to provide, and has been providing now for the past week, air support over top of Libya, enforcing a no-fly zone. Where were you when we needed you? Better late than never, but this should have happened weeks ago.
That's right.
Many Libyans have needlessly died because of this dithering, and Obama is hanging his hat on a UN resolution. Well, the UN does a lot of stupid things, anti-Semitic things. So if you want to live by the UN, die by the UN. Waiting for the UN is not always logical, and here waiting cost lives. We had Gaddafi down to Tripoli. He was in trouble. And then he recovered, and this is going to be more drawn out now. So, again, I hope it works. I really hope it works. I want to see the Libyan people free. DGTV is a big supporter of freedom, human rights, and democracy. Yes. But this should have happened earlier, and he should be promoting it more, articulating more. He's almost embarrassed by it. He took off to South America when this was going on, beginning, and what are you doing giving $2 billion to the government of Brazil just so the U.S. can buy oil from them in the future? I mean, what kind of a bribe is that?
Ridiculous.
Meanwhile, they're drilling for oil there, and offshore oil, and storing oil in underground tankers in the ocean, and you're not allowed to do that in the United States, or Canada for that matter. But particularly the United States, where the offshore drilling was put on hold after the incident with BP last year. Meanwhile, offshore drilling has been going on the rest of planet Earth since then.
Yeah, they don't
What you
care.
have here is international socialism. Obama letting the rest of the world that's poorer not have the same environmental standards as him and do things at a lesser cost as a result. He, having higher environmental standards, means you're getting less oil and it's costing more to get it. So the poorer countries save money and get wealthier, while he gets poorer.
Exactly.
Everyone's
Just
equal
like
except for the government class. International socialism, spreading of the wealth except for the government class. President Barack Obama. Item. Japan. DGTV is with the people of Japan in their courageous fight to rebuild the country after the earthquake and tsunami and nuclear reactor problems. And these nuclear reactor problems are causing problems outside of Japan, namely with the usual suspects, the environmentalists, who are using it as an excuse to shut down any new nuclear reactor construction. Greenpeace shut down hearings in Ontario this past week when people chained themselves to desks and caused uproars. So the environmentalists don't want nuclear, and the liberals, by the way, don't want nuclear, don't want coal. Okay, some liberals want nuclear, but they don't want coal.
That's right.
And coal in Ontario,
Bring back
is going to
coal.
end by, I think it's 2014. So that leaves you with hydroelectricity from water. You can only get so much of that. Solar, wind, you can burn nuclear gas to get electricity.
Natural gas.
It's very
Natural
expensive. And solar and wind is very expensive in Ontario. I mean, the liberals are paying way times the going rate for it, and it doesn't provide enough.
Ripping us off to the
We
cleaners.
need to bring back coal. Clean coal is available. And don't shut down nuclear in North America. Just don't build it on the East Coast or the West Coast, which don't get hit by tsunamis anyhow. And if they did get hit by a tsunami, just don't build it near those coasts. There's plenty of land in central Canada and USA that won't get hit by tsunamis. That's what shut down the reactors by the tsunami wiping out the generators for the coolants in Japan. And by the way, the Chevrolet Volt, for those of you who think it's a new technology, an electric car, it's not really an electric car. You recharge it overnight, it'll buy you 30 miles or 50 kilometers the next day, and then you use your regular size gas tank. It's a pretend car.
Fairy tale.
Item. Elizabeth Taylor has passed away at the age of 79. The actress who starred in Cleopatra, National Velvet, Giant, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, many other movies, and known for having been married many times, twice to Richard Burton. The Hollywood starlet had been fighting heart condition for many, many years. It was a very public battle, and she is now deceased at the age of 79. We will miss you, Elizabeth Taylor. And that is it for another week here at DGTV News and Commentary. I'm Darren Gilbert. You have yourself a good week.
My apologies for the unorthodox upload, but it was a way of getting around the problem, and I'm hopeful that the next recording will be more regular than this one. Thank you and have a good week.